This, we cannot forget that old habits and established networks are still alive, especially in South Asia. The contemporary epicenter of terrorism remains very much active.
Osama Bin Laden is dead, but the Butcher of Gujarat lives. And he is the Prime Minister of India. He was banned from entering this country until he became Prime Minister. This is the Prime Minister of the RSS and the Foreign Minister of the RSS. What is the RSS? The RSS draws its inspiration from Hitler's SS.
Some weeks ago, while replying to India's remarks on Osama Bin Laden and terrorism, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto called out Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In response to Jaishankar's derogatory remarks, Bilawal reminded him of their own history and factual reality. Indian Foreign Minister S Jaishankar told Pakistan to clean up your act and try to be a good neighbour, calling Pakistan the epicenter of terrorism. In response, Pakistani Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto said that India sought to conflate Muslims and terrorists in both countries. He told Jaisahankar that Osama Bin Laden is dead, but the Butcher of Gujarat lives, and he is the Prime Minister of India. But why is Modi called the Butcher of Gujarat? He fiddled while Gujarat burned in 2002. The fact remains that 2,000 plus people lost their lives, and the public have rewarded the man responsible for their safety with the post of a Prime Minister. Modi attained cult status amongst those who hated Muslims and felt they deserved to be butchered and raped. He quietly reaped the profits in the form of the electoral success. He never said sorry till date for the lives lost and ruined on account of the riot. Let's narrate only one story from these bloodiest riots. The story is of a Muslim woman, Bilkis Bano. In 2002, when the cargo truck carrying Bilkis Bano and her family shuddered to a halt in the Dahod district of Gujarat, India, the young mother was so afraid of what was about to happen that her shivering woke her 3-year-old daughter, Saleha. Bano, still just a teenager herself, rocked the wailing child but could not comfort her. Within seconds, a mob of men armed with swords and sickles tore Saleha from her arms and smashed her skull against a rock, silencing her forever. They were the Hindu residents of her village, men she had once addressed as her brothers and uncles. She had known them since she was the same age as Saleha. Bano and 14 members of her family had boarded the truck in a desperate attempt to escape the communal riots that had swept her village and seen Hindu mobs set fire to 60 Muslim homes. They had hoped to escape to Ahmedabad, some 200 kilometers away, but were just minutes into their journey when the mob flagged down the vehicle. Over the next few minutes, 12 men took turns to rape Bano, despite her being 5 months pregnant.
हमको बहुत दुख झेलना पड़ा। कितनी बार घर बदला हमने, और छोटे छोटे बच्चे को लेके सामान इधर उधर करो, बहुत सारी तकलीफें हमको हुई है।
और 15 साल में कभी ऐसा लगा आपको कि शायद मुझे न्याय नहीं मिलेगा, जिन्होंने मेरे खिलाफ ये अत्याचार किया है वो रिहा हो जाएंगे, वो बच जाएंगे? कभी ऐसा लगा कि सिस्टम जो है उसमें मेरे लिए कोई जगह नहीं है? कभी उम्मीद आपने छोड़ी थी?
नहीं, मैंने उम्मीद नहीं छोड़ी थी, क्योंकि हमारे इतने सारे मेरे परिवार को मार दिया, मेरी बेटी को मार दिया, तो कैसे उम्मीद छूटेगी?
Neither did they show any mercy to her cousin Shamim, who had given birth a day earlier and was forced to watch as the men butchered her newborn child. The men murdered all of the 14 family members accompanying Bano that day, raping 8 of the women in process. Although Bano registered a police complaint, the case was dismissed within 3 weeks on grounds of lack of evidence. It later transpired that investigators had obliterated names of the accused from Bano's statements, that doctors had deliberately omitted crucial pieces of evidences, and the 14 bodies of her family members had been decapitated and buried in unmarked graves to prevent identification. The man, Narendra Modi, under whose watch as chief minister the gruesome pogrom unfolded, was elected triumphantly to lead the country a dozen years later, in 2014, and again with an even larger majority in 2009. The party that he led achieved in these 2 successive elections the first single-party majorities in India's parliament in decades. Attempts to indict Chief Minister Narendra Modi for abetting the massacre by directing police officers to not act, and also inciting communal violence by spreading inflammatory statements and hate speeches against Muslims, have been rejected by investigators and courts on grounds that there is no prosecutable evidence against Modi. From a time he was denied visas and legally barred for over a decade from entering many countries of the world because of his alleged role in the massacre of 2002, he has been warmly welcomed by the heads of states and governments around the world after 2014, and quickly became India's most travelled Prime Minister within his first 2 years in office. Many in India and the world were convinced that with his clean chit from the country's criminal justice system and his resounding election victory in the world's largest democracy, the ghost of the massacre of 2002 had finally been laid to rest. But have they really been rested? Now, we must ask ourselves whether the statement of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was a personal attack on Modi or a historical reality that India is trying to hide beneath the carpet. Foreign Minister Bilawal has repeatedly defended his statement by mentioning and referencing these events, but the Western media is wearing a blindfold. Even after his elections to the slot of Prime Minister, Modi has not shunned its anti-Muslim policies, and this is the reason that fears are being expressed at the international level about the genocide of Muslims in India. Delhi riots, which claimed lives of many Muslims after the breakout of COVID-19, several controversial laws against Muslims, and the Muslims being denied the right of practice their religion, is all happening under Modi's government. The Indian people and leaders themselves call Modi a butcher. Hence, the very reaction of the Indian External Affairs Ministry on Bilawal Bhutto's remark is out of place and carries no weight, but rather has reminded once again the atrocities that Modi committed and continues to commit even today. Nothing good can be expected from a butcher like Modi, as he only believes in extreme Hindu nationalism. He wants to turn India into a Hindu state where there is no place for the followers of any other religion. It is also for the other world leaders, including those in the Muslim world, to speak openly against Modi's extremist policies and hold him accountable for the crimes he is committing against Muslims.